Hello, it's Sonia here with The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. Today's project, we're going to be making a cowl, and for this project I am using my eye hook or 5.5 millimeter. Now with this project you can customize it to suit your own taste, so if you would prefer to use a smaller hook and finer yarn, that's certainly up to you, or you could even use a thicker hook. I will be using Deco weight yarn to make this project, but to start off with I am using worsted weight to get you going, and then you'll understand why I'm doing it like this in a few minutes. But you can certainly use worsted weight, but for my project I will be using Deco weight yarn, and it's actually called Stylecraft DK, so if you're interested in getting something similar. But anyway, I'm going to be using an eye hook, and I have worsted weight yarn. So to get started, we are going to be working a round of foundation half double crochet stitches, and we're going to be doing, I think, a really fun stitch with this. There's a lot of neat things that you can do with it, and I have a couple projects that use this type of stitch, and I can link them below. But we are going to get started with foundation half double crochet. So for this project you are going to need to work a multiple of 30, so at the minimum 60, but I'm going to be working a multiple, or I'm going to be working 180, because 30 times 6 is 180, and I like my cowls kind of on the longer side, so just keep that in mind. You could do 90 if you wanted to, but I'm doing 180. So if you've never made a foundation half double crochet, normally with foundation half double crochet you chain 3, and then in the third chain from your hook you yarn over, getting ahead of myself, yarn over and insert your hook into the third chain like you were working a regular half double crochet. You pull up your loop, you have your 3 loops on your hook, you yarn over the first one, pull through the first, and then you yarn over and pull through all 3. So there's one extra step, but we're going to be doing ours a little bit differently. And then usually when you do the chain 3, your first skipped chain 2 here counts as a stitch, but I don't want to use that as a stitch for mine, so I'm going to be doing it like this. So I just wanted to get that out of the way in case you were wondering. A little lesson within the pattern. Little teaching moment. Hopefully that's alright. So we are going to actually chain 2, and our first stitch is going to be an actual half double crochet. So you're yarning over, and our second chain from our hook you're going to pull up a loop, save your 3 loops, you're going to yarn over and pull through 1, and then you'll yarn over and pull through all 3. So we've actually made a half double crochet stitch. So this one will be a little bit crunchy, but it's not really, you're not really going to notice it in the pattern. It'll be fine. Okay, so what we did here is we created a little chain right here. So our next stitch, you're yarning over, you're going to insert your hook into that little chain that we made, pull up a loop, you have your 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 1, or literally it's a chain 1. See, we created that chain, and then yarn over, pull through all 3. And you're going to continue this in your multiple of 30. So again, I am doing 180, but you can certainly do more, do less, if you wanted to do 150, however many you want, but at least at the minimum I would even say do 90 for the pattern to really show up. And again, this is a cowl, you're looping it around your neck, so keep that in mind when you're doing this. Okay, so I went ahead and I worked my 180. This is my foundation half double crochet, so you can see here, and I am using Stylecraft Deco weight yarn, and an eye hook might be a little bit large for this yarn, but because of the stitch it's going to look fine. So what we're going to do is turn this into a circle. So I'm going to find my first stitch. Where is she? There we are. So here's our my first stitch I made, and we're going to fold it and you don't want it to be twisted. So I'm trying to do this with the, on camera. It's kind of probably looking like a big fail here. It's not that hard. Here we go. Actually, I've got her upside down. Goodness gracious. Here we are. That's going much more smoothly. So what you're going to want to do is, this is the last stitch that I made. You're going to want to place a stitch marker there. I need to find my stitch marker, so just hold on a sec while I find my stitch marker. Okay, so found my stitch marker. I feel like I'm a bit of a hot mess with this pattern. Hopefully the rest of it won't be. I think it's going to be really nice, I promise. Okay, so I'm going to place my stitch marker because we will be working in continuous rounds, because I like to work in continuous rounds as much as I can to avoid an obvious seam instead of joining, but sometimes you have to join, but I'm trying to avoid it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to work, this is now our first round already completed, the foundation. So this will be round 2, and we're going to work in the 3rd loop. So if you've made, I have 2 projects up already that use this stitch, and I think it's a really fun stitch and creates a really neat fabric. So if you've never worked in 3rd loop half double crochet, if you look at your stitch here and you look at the top, you'll see that you have your front loop right there, you have your back loop right there, and then if you turn it over, you'll see there is another loop, and that is the 3rd loop. So we're going to be working in that loop for most of this pattern. And so I'm going to yarn over. So here's my first stitch, and I'm going to find the 3rd loop. I think she's hiding. Come on, 3rd loop. There it is. Usually it's not that hard to find. Like I said, it's kind of a bit of a hot mess with it right now. But anyway, we're going to keep on going. Okay, so we have our first stitch. So we are going to be working in multiples of 30 for this entire pattern. So for this sequence, we are going to be working 29 half double crochet in the 3rd loop. And then stitch number 30 is going to be a post stitch. So this is stitch number 1, and I'm going to continue working in my 3rd loop till I have a total of 29 half double crochet. And the nice thing with this pattern is it will be reversible, so you don't have to worry about like an ugly side with this cowl. There's no really right or wrong side. I mean, this side that we're working on right now is technically going to be the right side, but it really will be reversible. So that's a nice little bonus with this. And we got hair. Jeez. It's not boding well. Maybe I'm not meant to make this. Goodness, stop it. Alright, so I've just been stitching away. I'm going to count and see where I'm at, because we do want to have a total of 29. So I have 22. So I need to do 7 more. Alright, so we have now worked 29 half double crochet in the 3rd loop. So you can see how it pops that guy out. I just think it looks really nice. So our next stitch is going to be a post stitch, stitch 30. So this is be the end of our first sequence. So here is our next stitch. You're going to work a front post half double crochet. So this entire project will be worked in half double crochet, just different types of half double crochet. So you just work your front post half double crochet so it's raised like that. Now we're ready for our next sequence. You're going to work 29 again half double crochet in the third loop, and then your 30th stitch is going to be the post stitch. So the stitch right after the post stitch, sometimes the post stitch kind of likes to cover it up a little bit, crunch it up. So just make sure you don't forget that. So I just kind of take my thumb, just kind of push that guy to the side, and then locate that third loop. And then work my stitch. And there we are. So that's stitch 1 in the sequence. So you're going to work 29 half double crochet in the third loop, and then stitch 30 you're working front post half double crochet, and then you just repeat that all the way around. Or whoops, goodness, I'm not sure what's happening there. Yes, you repeat that all the way around. So then your last stitch here is going to be your post stitch where the stitch marker is. So you'll work your post stitch and then just mark that stitch, and then we'll get ready for round 3. And then you're just going to repeat rounds 2 through 16 for however thick you want your cowl. I'll probably just do one more repeat, and then I will join in my first stitch, and then we'll get ready to finish this guy off. So I'll meet you back when I complete another rounds of 2 through 16. This isn't hard.